Guys, I hope you're good. Today, I'm going to discuss with you the reasons why there are people who are spontaneous in English speaking, why they're good in the international language, as if they're native speakers of English like Americans, British, and Australians. This time, I'm going to discuss with you the underlying principles, how spontaneous English speaking happens, and how you can experience it yourself. These principles that I'm going to share with you have never been discussed in the YouTube as language principles, so I decided to discuss it now. What are these principles to help you become spontaneous in English speaking? Let's begin. Number one, you cannot give what you do not have. You cannot give what you do not have. So that's the first principle. There are three things that take place when a person speaks. First, he communicates through the airwaves to convey a message. Second, he employs language to communicate the message across effectively. This language is intelligible to the receivers. And third, he shares information. This information is definitely what the speaker discusses while communication goes on. What takes place is sharing of information when formal or informal discussion happens, and in reality, the information the participants of the discussion are exchanging with have already been deposited in their mind before they convey it. The fact is that we cannot discuss a particular topic if we do not have information about it. However clear or specific a topic is, we must basically have supporting information to be able to discuss it. As I said, the supporting information is prior knowledge we already have before the discussion of the topic happens. It is the main reason behind that stimulates us to talk spontaneously. It happens in any formal or informal communication using the English language. So, what should you do to be able to speak English spontaneously? The answer is make your mind pregnant with background information of any topic you're interested in. On the contrary, the abundance of topics to discuss is inconsistently the scarcity of information about the topics. Ask someone about AIDS, about a popular international music celebrity, or about a national controversial issue, and he would nod his head to assure you of his awareness of them. Yet, behind this good awareness of the issues is his limited information or no information at all. This is also absolutely true to native speakers of English. They basically speak English spontaneously, but ask them to discuss about a topic that they don't have information about, and they will not be able to use their own language to talk. The truth is that supporting information for the topic can be found all over abundantly. We just have no commitment or we limit our time to find them. This lack or no information about a topic is the main reason why we're not able to speak English spontaneously. We really cannot give what we do not have. But if you have abundant information about a topic, you will be stimulated to talk about it as the need arises. Number two principle, we cannot discuss something that we don't understand. Hear me say that. We cannot discuss something that we don't understand. So we can have enough background information of the topic for discussion which are abundantly available everywhere. But if we do not dig deep and deeper to view the hidden details of the information, which are more abundant to what we actually see, if we do not effort to concentrate in deciphering what are inside, then we miss the experience of learning and understanding more information. What we have are limited, shallow, and incomplete details of the information. Here, the universal principle tells us that everything is a part of the whole. So every component contributes to make a whole. We can discuss the whole story or make up something if we have and know and understand every part of it. In a discussion activity, we are stimulated to discuss a topic because we have information about it and we understand the detailed supporting information of the topic at the same time. On the contrary, a person, even native speakers of English, never discusses something that he or she doesn't have, know, and understand. Specifically, you cannot discuss something that you don't understand. Krashen emphasized, this is Stephen Krashen, he emphasized that the best methods are therefore those that supply comprehensible input in low anxiety situations. These methods do not force early production in the second language, recognizing that improvement comes from supplying communicative and comprehensible input. So, to experience spontaneous English speaking, you should go through deep comprehension experience of a particular information. Immerse yourself in observing, reading, and listening so that you will eventually make yourself familiar with the language of the information. According to Hendricks, the higher the learner's involvement, the greater his potential for learning. The best learners are participators. They're not merely watching the action from the outside, but are deeply engrossed in it, involved to the hilt. Moreover, you should understand that the amount of time you have to spend in gathering and deciphering information make comprehension experience realistic and deeper. It is engaging in independent gathering and understanding of information. So Gerns and Redmond say, equally important here is the fact that more meaningful tasks require learners to analyze and process language more deeply. And here's the third principle, rather. The third principle says, everything that we do is a preparation. Everything that we do is a preparation. Do you wonder why there are people who speak English spontaneously, as if thousands of English words are ready to come out of their mouth every time they're in a speech situation? Do we get envy of their fluency and dream to become like them? It is absolutely possible, but spontaneous English speaking is something that does not happen overnight. Again, I say, Spontaneous English speaking is something that does not happen overnight. Those people become spontaneous in English because they follow the third principles that says everything that we do is a preparation. Yes, people get successful in their endeavors because they set their minds being prepared and focused on something that they want to happen. So what do they do that make them prepared and established in their fluency and spontaneous English speaking? So let's study this. Number one, okay, with this question, what do they do that makes them prepared and established in their fluency and spontaneous English speaking? Number one, they keep a bridge of the current information. That means to say that you're always aware. It means that they're always aware of the new information that comes along the way. This new information that they learn and understand automatically comes out when a discussion or a speech situation requires it for sharing. That readiness for sharing the information shows spontaneity in speaking. So this number one follows the first principle that you cannot give what you do not have. If you're not aware of current information, of course, because you don't have information in your mind, you will not be able to share or say something about a particular issue. Okay, let's proceed to number two. These spontaneous English speakers, or say non-native English speakers, are well informed of past and present information. The reason is that these people read and stored up in their minds what they learned. The more they read and the more they understand what they read, the more they become spontaneous to share what they know. Therefore, spontaneity in English speaking does not depend on how much English words we have, but how much information we stored in our minds. Okay, number three. They focus on the information they're interested in. Because they're interested in a particular information, they spend much time in it. And that's the reason why they become spontaneous when they speak. So there's an element of interest. And number four, they're spontaneous in English speaking because they focus and are interested in particular information because it has to do with their area of specialization or skill. A person, regardless of his or her educational background, is spontaneous to discuss the details of his or her expertise or skills because he or she knows it very well. Through constant commitment and engagement in acquiring information using the five senses, we can spatially increase in knowledge from the information and at the same time, new language. It results to spontaneous English speaking. This erases the misconception that learning only begins inside the classroom and that the teacher is omniscient enough as the depository of the knowledge we learn. Okay, so let's go now to the number four principle. This is the number four principle. Constant practice makes perfect. Okay. Constant practice makes perfect. One of the proven ways to experience spontaneous English speaking is by practicing it regularly. Of course, being conscious in grammar, fear, and anxiety is normal and is inevitable for beginners. Consider the experience of novice driver. He is so conscious in experiencing for the first time the complicated task of operating many driving mechanisms such as gas pedal, the brake, the gear, the shift, the clutch, lights, and so on. But with constant practice, the driver overcomes the challenge in driving, knowing exactly and unconsciously the operation of all the mechanism. Non-native English speakers face similar challenges in beginning to speak English, but it is overcome until they experience mastery through practice. Remember that change is constant. All of us began using the language imperfectly, but that imperfection in English speaking will change the more we get into language exposure through practice in speaking. From exposure to exposure is an experience of continuous learning, and the more we learn means the more change we experience. Richards and Renania says, stimulating learners to talk might be to provide them with extensive exposure in our to authentic language. That's all, guys. Those are the underlying principles in experiencing spontaneous English speaking. Thank you. I hope you learn a lot from this video.